Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I'm here with our fourth Q&A. I've been doing these Q&As for the last 4 weeks since the end of December when restrictions first came into Vancouver, British Columbia with gym closers. And since then, I've been hosting a weekly Q&A, and I've been sending out emails to clients, DMs, text messages. Send me your questions with regards to training, dietary nutrition, supplementation, and I'll answer them on the channel. So I've been having a lot of fun with this. I'm getting a lot of questions. This weekend alone, I received about 33 questions. So what I thought I would do is I'd break this Q&A into a 3-part series and answer 10 questions for this episode, 10 questions again later on this week, and then 10 questions next week. But keep sending me your questions. I love answering them. And yeah, I mean, if you have any questions with regards to either training, diet, supplementation, you can always send them to me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can also DM them to me on Instagram, and my underscore is @fitcosgrove_. That's my Instagram name. So let's get to it. Let's get to the first question of this week's Q&A. Here we go. So, hi, Nick. Incline versus flat versus decline. Which angle is best to use when trying to target my pecs? Well, all three have their pros and their cons, but I'll tell you, in my opinion, I would always do for a good chest workout an incline press and a flat press. I'm not a big fan of decline presses. I know they have their place, but I'll tell you one thing with decline presses, I find they put a lot of emphasis on the rotator cuff. Just the angle is awkward. So I personally don't do decline presses. I don't have any of my clients doing decline presses. So I'm not a big fan of adding decline chest presses, whether it be barbell or dumbbell, to a chest routine. Now, when it comes to incline dumbbell presses, I actually like to use a very low incline. So I usually have my clients do about an incline of about 130 degrees with a barbell. And that's what I find. It just hits the upper pecs perfectly spot on. And then what I'll do is I'll have them do a higher incline with the dumbbells, just so they can get that good contraction at the end of the top of the pecs as well. So I'll usually throw in 2 incline presses and just 1 flat press. And usually that's a barbell or a dumbbell. Sometimes 2, depending on if it's a full chest workout, if we're doing maybe a split training with chest and back. As far as bringing up the pecs themselves, I'm a huge advocate of using a lot of incline work. So like I said before, I'll do a low incline barbell press, a high incline dumbbell press, and I'll actually even throw in a low incline dumbbell fly. I know a lot of people like doing flat dumbbell flies, and I'll throw those in too occasionally. But I really find when you're really trying to make your chest grow, you got to think you've got pec major, pec minor. And the majority of your pecs are actually the upper chest, right? So it makes more sense to do a lot of more incline work. So low incline, about 130 degrees, a little bit higher incline with the dumbbells, I would say about maybe 110 degrees, and then drop that incline down to about 130 again for some flies, and then throw in a flat barbell or flat dumbbell, or maybe both into your routine. I think that'll really help. Another thing I'd recommend doing, do your incline presses at the beginning of the workout. You know, a lot of people make the mistake of doing a flat barbell press at the beginning. I don't think you should do that. I think you should work your way from the top to the bottom. So start the workout off with like a low incline barbell press, and then take that down to a flat barbell press, right? I think that's actually really good for your joints too, because it'll, you know, when you're on an incline press, you're working more chest, less delts. When you're on a flat press, you're actually working not just your pecs, you also are working your delts a little bit from that angle. So if you're having trouble bringing up your chest, I'd focus more on incline work. I personally wouldn't even do any decline work. I find decline work to be not really effective, and if anything, really dangerous for the rotator cuffs. Next question, question number 2. Do you have any tips on how to widen my back? I currently do deadlifts, seated rows, and lat pull downs twice a week, but have not been getting any noticeable results. I've had this same problem for years, and what I did when I used to compete, I would have a row day and a pull down day. Now this person seems like the only 3 exercises he's doing are deadlifts, seated rows, and lat pull downs. So that's a good back workout. I mean, you're working all the areas of the back, but if you want to widen your back, you have to really focus on the pull down movements. You know, 1 lat pull down, that's great for the other lats, but you're not doing anything for your inner lats. So a good pull down for the inner lats would be a closed grip pull down with the triangular bar. And then you can even throw in some reverse grip pull downs using a supinated grip to work the lower lats. So those are 3 pull downs right there that I would throw in, which would be a wide grip lat pull down, which seems like you're already doing, a closed grip pull down, and a reverse grip pull down. And if you want to add 1 more, you could take 2 cables and you can do an isotonic, split the cables on those pull downs as well. That should help widen the back. Another thing I would do is a lot of bent over rows. So if you're doing some rows, bent over rows, T-bar rows, that'll actually help add some thickness to the lats as well. But when it comes to really bringing out that V taper, really focus on those pull downs. And if your back is a weak body part, do what I did, split it up into two separate days. So you have one row day and one pull down day. I said this last week on the channel too with legs. If your legs are a weak body part, split them up into 2 days. Give 1 day focus to your quads and 1 day focus to your glutes, hamstrings, and calves. But yeah, I think if any pull downs, I would add in more volume, not necessarily heavier weight, just more volume. So you hit the back from multiple angles, and that should shock the body to grow. Okay. So like I said, 4 pull downs: overhand grip pull downs, closed grip pull downs, reverse grip pull downs. And if you have time, isotonic cable split pull-ups. Do 4 sets of each. There's 16 sets for your pull downs right there. Question number 3. Will having sex before a workout have a negative impact on your results? Like, do you notice a decrease in strength and energy? It's funny because this person sent me this question last week and I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was a joke at first, but he was actually serious. So, okay, I'll give you my own personal opinion on this. I personally don't think sex takes anything away from a workout. I mean, I don't know what you're doing, like how intense your sex is, but even then, if anything, sex is really good, right? Sex is really good for our mental health, our physical health. It's more of a stress reliever. So I don't necessarily think sex should take anything away from the workout. I noticed that old theory of fighters back in the day when they get ready for a fight, no sex, they want to focus. You can't stay focused, and your intensity in the gym goes down. Your testosterone is not into the workouts, it's going into the sex. I don't buy into that. I don't see anything wrong with having sex before a workout. It might be actually good for you. It might actually clear your mind. So if you're not having sex before a workout, give it a shot, try it and see, and let me know. But personally, I don't see any negative effect and impacts of having sex before a workout. I've never heard that before. It shouldn't be losing strength, energy. I mean, when you're done, once you're done, maybe hydrate, replenish, get some food in you, and then go to the gym. But yeah, so I mean, do it and tell me. But in my opinion, no, it's never impacted me personally, and anyone I know. I mean, I don't think sex should have any negative impact on your workout whatsoever. Question number 4. Do you put any of your clients on intermittent fasting diets? I'm considering trying it, as I have a few friends who love how they feel when they are only eating for a period of 4 to 6 hours a day. So intermittent fasting is interesting. It's actually one of the diets that I'm not necessarily against. It has a lot of benefits. It has a lot of health benefits, actually. So the problem with intermittent fasting, if your goal is to build muscle and lose fat, it's not an optimal diet to follow. And the reason for that, there's actually a few reasons for that. But one of the reasons for that is when you're trying to build muscle, you need to have a steady state of protein coming into your body. Now, if you're only eating for 4 to 6 hours, that's a small period of the day. What's happening is you risk your muscles going to almost like a catabolic state throughout the day, because your muscles are constantly looking for that protein, especially if you're someone like me who has a very fast metabolism. I mean, I eat every 2 to 3 hours. If I don't, I notice my blood sugar levels, they start to do this. And I notice my insulin levels start to do this. So I want to make sure I keep my blood sugar levels stable throughout the day. That's why I usually have my food evened out separately throughout the day. And I do that with my clients too. So I don't necessarily have my clients always eat 6 meals a day, like the old school bodybuilding diet. I might have someone do 4 or 5 meals a day, depending on what their goals are. But at the same time, I usually space those meals out, and I'll say, okay, try to eat every 3 or 4 hours, depending on what your schedule allows. I don't put people on intermittent fasting. I don't have anything against intermittent fasting. Like I said before, there are a lot of health benefits to it. There's been a lot of studies that show it's actually a very good diet, especially for people if they're going through, let's say, cancer treatments. There's some people who have digestive issues, and they find that intermittent fasting works really well for them as well. So, and a lot of people, they claim they have tons of energy when they do intermittent fasting, right? And I think the reason for that too is because a lot of times when we have carbs, for example, let's say we have bad carbs, they make us feel tired. So a lot of people, they'll have a heavy lunch, full of like maybe white potatoes or white rice, or they go out and they have something, pizza, fries, whatever. And then, yeah, they feel tired after. But if you're eating clean food throughout the day, you shouldn't feel tired. I mean, usually when I eat, I feel energized afterwards. I don't crash. So I think it's more the quality of the food that you're eating that's important too. So what I find works for the clients I work with is I usually put them on a fairly high fiber, complex carbohydrates, healthy fats, and lean protein, and I space them out throughout the day. And that fine works for most people, especially if their goal is to build muscle and lose fat. Because don't forget too, if you're doing intermittent fasting too, one thing you risk is slowing down your metabolism a little bit, right? And if your goal is to lose fat, intermittent fasting is not necessarily the ideal diet for that either. From a health component, though, I can see where it has its benefits. So again, I'm not against intermittent fasting. I personally don't put clients on it. I've had a few clients try it. There's been mixed reviews. I would say for the most part, put it this way, just like the keto diet, I've never known anyone to stay on an intermittent fasting diet for more than say 3 months because it's not a sustainable diet for most people. I mean, most people's lifestyles, you can't eat for 4 to 6 hours and that's it. You know, you might go out for dinner with a friend or you might go out for brunch with a friend, and it's not an ideal diet for a lot of people. So most people don't stick with it. So it's not a diet I recommend, but I mean, if you find it works for you, great. And from a health component, I see nothing wrong with it. Next question. Hi, Nick. My coach told me that I should eat something before I train. The problem is every time I eat before I work out, I get really nauseous. I'm currently having 3 eggs and 2 slices of whole wheat bread before I train. Any recommendations? Okay, so I actually, without knowing the whole structure of this person's diet, I'm not their coach, but there's 2 things I see here. Okay, so the first problem with that particular meal, 3 eggs and 2 slices of whole wheat bread, I generally don't recommend having fats pre-workout. And the reason for that is because fats take longer for the body to digest. So unless you have an incredibly fast metabolism, I would recommend sticking to complex carbohydrates and lean protein pre-workout. Okay. Yeah, the last thing you want is your body digesting food while you're doing an intense workout, intense leg workout, where you already feel like you're going to throw up just from the intensity alone. And now you got food in your system digesting. It's not good. So I recommend staying away from foods like eggs, peanut butter, avocado prior to your workout. Have those foods after your workout or have them earlier on in the day, but don't have them like an hour before you train. For most people, that doesn't work well. I can tell you this from experience. With a lot of my clients, if they have fats pre-workout, they come in to see me, they usually end up in the bathroom throwing up. So I don't recommend that particular pre-workout meal. Like I said, complex carbohydrates, lean protein, oatmeal. If it's later, oatmeal with some protein powder, that'd be great. If it's in the morning, if you're working out in the afternoon, maybe, a chicken breast with a cup of brown rice or 6 ounces of yams or sweet potatoes, that works, cup of quinoa. That's so important because if you are feeling nauseous before a work or during your workout, you're not going to work out intensely, right? So, I mean, that your pre-workout meal is crucial. But one thing I'm also going to say is that I don't know what time of day this person trains, and I'm assuming morning based on the fact that he said eggs and whole wheat bread. But I have a lot of clients that train with me in the morning that don't eat at all. And when I first started as a trainer, I've said this before, I used to say to them, no, you have to eat before a workout. What are you doing? You need to have that fuel. And that's not true because a lot of people actually work better with nothing in their stomach or just a little bit of food in their stomach. And that could be from the night before. I find that works for a lot of people. So with my clients who train with me at 6, 7, or 8 in the morning, most of them don't eat anything. They come in not on an empty stomach because they ate the night before and they work out better. So you have to really look at your digestive system, know your body. Okay, do I have a fast metabolism? Do I have a slow metabolism? How do I feel? Feel it out. And then you base your decision based on that. Don't just say, well, I have to eat because I'm working out. That's not true for everybody. Okay. So I would play around with that a little bit. I would try, if you're working out in the morning, in this person's case, maybe switch over just to get rid of those eggs, get rid of that bread. If you're going to eat bread, by the way, something like Ezekiel bread, much, much better than whole wheat bread. A good complex carbohydrate and a lean protein source is perfect. You don't need much protein before you work out either. I'm 210 pounds and I'll have about 30 grams of protein before I work out. If I'm working with someone who's say 115, 120 pounds, I might put them on 15 grams of protein before the workout. So you don't need to consume that much protein, but carbohydrates I would definitely consume before a workout. Okay, next question. Nick, are steroids addictive? My boyfriend says they're not, but he doesn't ever cycle off them for more than 1 month at a time. As far as I know, there's no studies that show that steroids are addictive, like say cocaine. There's no studies that show that. However, I think what is addictive is how you feel when you're on the steroids and how you look, how steroids make you look. If you're training hard, I mean, obviously we know that steroids can help people build muscle faster than a natural person. We know this is common sense. So I think it's more the feeling you have when you're on steroids. You feel stronger, you feel more aggressive in the gym. And let's face it, I mean, you get results faster. right there, that's motivation enough, right? You start seeing results in the mirror, like, man, this is amazing. So I don't think it's necessarily that the steroids themselves are addictive. I think it's how you feel when you're on them and the results that you get from them. I think that's addictive. And I know a lot of guys who I used to train with back in my 20s who are still on steroids today, and they never come off. And a lot of them have health problems. They have problems with their kidneys, they have problems with their liver, and it's because they never come off. They never cycle off the drugs. And then I know people that do it responsibly. They'll go on for, let's say, 3 months, and then they'll go off for 6 months and clean out their system. So those are people who are a little bit more responsible. Yeah, they'll lose some size when they're clearing out their system. But I mean, from a health, they're much more healthy than the guys who have been on nonstop. So I don't think steroids are addictive. It's, unfortunately, I think it's just the effects that people have when they're on them, how they feel, how they look. So I wouldn't necessarily say your boyfriend's wrong, but yeah, it's a hard one, right? Because I do think that if it's how you feel on them, you feel really good and you're looking really good. So I can see how that would be addictive. Okay, so it's necessarily how you feel on them. And honestly, you never want to have to become reliant on something too. You know, I know a lot of people that train who come off steroids and then they don't even go to the gym, and then they just shit the bed on their diet. Like, well, I'm not taking anything right now, so why bother? So you never want to become over reliant on anything, whether it be steroids or stimulants. You should be able to go to the gym and train naturally, not on any stimulants, and just go in feeling good. So I would be looking at, am I getting enough sleep? Am I fueling my body properly, naturally through the nutrients from food? Okay. I wouldn't be relying on the anabolic steroids. Next question. I saw you squatting with your shoes off in one of your IG videos. Is there any benefit to squatting barefoot instead of with shoes on? Yes. I've been squatting barefoot for probably the better part of the last 20 years. And what I've realized is, and I do this with most of my clients, and I would say that 9 out of 10 clients I work with prefer squatting with their shoes off versus shoes on. And I don't care how expensive your shoes are, the orthotics you have in them, no shoe will ever match your natural arch that you have in your foot, right? So what I find when you squat with your shoes off, you can really drive through your calcaneus, which is your heel, plant that heel into the ground and drive up through the floor. So you actually, when you squat, you're actually going to feel that squat more in your hamstrings and your glutes. I always tell my clients when they're squatting, forget about their quads. You're going to feel it in your quads regardless. You don't have to create a mind to muscle connection in your quadriceps. But a lot of people have a hard time feeling a squat in their glutes and their hamstrings. So when I tell them, okay, take your shoes off and I want you to dig your heels into the floor as hard as you possibly can. And then when they come up, they actually start to connect that mind to muscle connection in the glutes and hamstrings. That's why I have my clients squat with their shoes off. And it also feels more natural for most people, especially with people I train who have knee issues. I have a few clients that suffer from patellofemoral syndrome. Whenever I have them do their squats with their shoes off, no problems in the knees. So I do think there's some benefits to squatting with your shoes off. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it, or if your gym doesn't allow it. But I'm unfortunate because every gym I've ever gone to, and even my gym, we don't say anything. We let people train with their shoes off all the time. So I would recommend trying it out and see if you like it. But I can tell you from the last 20 plus years I've been squatting without my shoes on, I've noticed the benefits. And my knees feel great. And when I squat, I always feel it in my glutes and hamstrings. Yes, of course, I feel it in my quads, but I don't have to focus on my glutes and hamstrings as much because I now have that natural mind to muscle connection from pushing through my heels through the floor. So give it a shot and try it out and DM me back and tell me what you think. Next question. What are your thoughts on Peloton? Overrated and overpriced, or do you think their products are legit? With Peloton, I'm really impressed with them, actually. I know a lot of people are thinking that because I'm usually the one who's poo-pooing the Fitbits and all these fitness gadgets and all these fancy apps, but I have to tell you, Peloton is really interesting, especially during this pandemic. They've done quite well. What's interesting with them is that it's not just a recumbent bike or a treadmill that you get on and you stare at the wall in front of you, or you watch TV at your apartment while you're doing your cardio. You can log in and work with, if you're on the bike, any spin instructor or any really famous spin instructor across the world, whether that be in New York, whether that be somewhere in Europe, this could be somewhere else in Canada, it could be in Montreal, whoever you want to work with, who's on the app. And it's interesting because a lot of these classes are recorded. So I've seen them and I thought, well, that's actually a really cool idea. And I was telling this to a client earlier today. I think what's going to happen with Peloton is I think they're going to grow even more. And I have a feeling classes like spin classes, I think they're done, especially with this pandemic. I mean, there are not many people who are going to go into a class of 40 people and sit on a bike when you can just do it from your home and get the same workout with an instructor, any instructor you want from across the world, right? So are they overrated and overpriced? They're probably a little overpriced. I've seen they're pretty expensive. Overrated maybe, but I like it. I like the idea. I think it's great. This is coming from a personal trainer. I think it's great. I don't think there'll ever be an app that, I know there are people who do workouts at home with weights. I personally don't think that's going to be nearly as effective as a workout that you would get in the gym. You know, the gym, you can go into a squat rack, you can use cables, you can use heavy dumbbells, all kinds of things. Now, if you got a home gym that has all that, great, do it. But most people, especially if you're living downtown like I am, I mean, I'm in a condo, I don't have room for all that. So I don't think a home workout with weights is nearly as effective as a workout in a gym, an actual gym. Absolutely not. There's no comparison. But cardio is interesting. I think Peloton's here to stay. I really do. I think they're doing really good. And I'm interested to see how far they go. But yeah, I would tell spin classes to watch out. I think spin classes are done. I think in the next 5-10 years, we're going to see a shift. And there's going to be a lot more people working on Pelotons than there will be in classes like spin classes. So yeah, I think it's great. If you have the money and you can afford it, get one. Definitely. I like it. Next question. Do you have a COVID supplement stack that you recommend to your clients? I do not. Listen, COVID's been here for what, 2 years now, right? We still don't know everything about this virus and its variants. Now, 10 years from now, we're going to know more. So everyone's saying you should take zinc, for example. We don't know that for sure. There's actually no conclusive studies that say that zinc's going to help you fight off COVID. And studies change all the time, especially when it comes to supplements and vitamins and minerals. And the problem is a lot of the companies that do these studies are doing it to promote their own products. So I'm very wary of taking supplement stacks that people say that they swear by and say, this is a COVID stack, it's going to work. You don't know that. Nobody knows that. We don't know enough about COVID-19 right now. Nobody knows. We've only been living in this pandemic for 2 years. Like I said, 10, 15 years from now, we'll know more. And maybe then there'll be some supplements out there that they'll say, you know, this will help you fight off COVID. But as far as it stands for my supplements, like how I pick my supplements, I get my blood work done once a year. And that's how I find out, okay, what am I deficient in? And if it's something, for example, I am taking, right now I'm taking iron. Now, the reason I'm taking iron, my iron levels were low. Show to my blood work. So I'm taking iron. But I also know I'm not going to take iron all year. I'll cycle off of it. You know, I'll take it for 6 months and then I'll go get my blood work done again. I'll see where it's at. If everything looks good, everything's stable, I'll come off of it. Same thing with zinc. So there's a lot, I take zinc right now, but not because of COVID. I had a zinc deficiency. So I get my blood work done. And I tell the same thing to my clients. I mean, that's the true way you're going to know what supplements and vitamins to take is by getting your blood work done. And of course, there's things like vitamin C, vitamin D that I'm a true believer in using year round. I do believe it does help support a strong immune system. I know there's people that will argue with me on that, and that's fine. But as far as this COVID stack, I know there's people online and they're promoting that, you know, this works and this works. And for me personally, I don't believe any of it. And the reason is that we have not lived with this virus long enough to know what really does work and what doesn't work. So if you're looking for a supplement stack to take, my recommendation, go get your blood work done, see what you're deficient in, and then take the supplements that you need, okay? Not what generic, take this, take that, because so-and-so says so. To me, you're just wasting your money. Okay, so this will be the last question because I do have to go. So last question for this episode, question number 10. I've been back in the gym training with you for the past 3 days after 3.5 weeks of not working out due to gyms being closed, and I'm so sore. Luckily, we were actually able to reopen our gym. The reason we're that is because we're a boxing gym. So we actually were allowed to open as long as we follow the guidelines. So this is a client of mine. Okay, I feel like a beginner again. Why am I this sore, and what can I do to help my body recover faster? So over the last 3.5 days, I've had I've been actually sending out emails to remind clients, you're going to be sore after this workout. Not only that, let's say you train with me on Friday. Yeah, you'll be sore on Saturday, but you're going to be more sore on Sunday. And that's due to what we call DOMS syndrome, delayed onset muscle soreness, right? And that usually takes about 48 hours to kick in for most people. Sometimes it kicks in within 24 hours, but usually it's the next not the next day, but the day after that most people feel sore. Now you have to remember, if you're here in Vancouver, you haven't been able to train for 3.5 weeks because the gyms have been closed. And this is going to happen to a lot of people when the gyms reopen. They're going to go back in. First thing you're going to notice, you're not as strong as you normally are, right? And it's not that you've lost muscle. What you have lost, though, is the glycogen factor. And glycogen is like oxygen for your muscles. This is one thing I've been saying to all my clients. Like, you didn't lose muscle. You're a little bit weaker, but that strength will come back in a matter of workouts, as in 3 or 4 workouts, not 3 or 4 months, okay? If you didn't lose muscle, you can't lose muscle that quickly. It's impossible. So when you're not working out with weights, your body stops producing glycogen. There's no reason to have it. So glycogen is necessary for when we do lift weights. It gives you those extra reps. That's why a lot of people like myself who've been training for years, yes, I still get sore after a workout, but I'm not nearly as sore as I was when I first began training. And that's why a lot of beginners, those first few weeks in the gym are hell for them because they're always sore. So as far as what you can do, nothing. I mean, you're going to have to suffer it out for the next few weeks. And I've been saying this to all my clients. One of the things that I recommend doing is just, again, fueling your body properly. So making sure you're getting in the right nutrients. Okay, that's important. Okay? You want to really make sure you're getting those right nutrients. And then at the end of the day, what I also recommend doing, if you're feeling that sore after your workouts, take time in between to do what we call active recovery. So that can be some stretches. I've been telling a few of my clients after my sessions with me, book some yoga sessions with Charlene. That's the best thing you can do. That's going to help actually you recover faster. It's going to help you with your mobility and your flexibility. Okay. You can take Epsom salt baths. There's some studies that prove that that'll help with soreness, but at the end of the day, you're just going to have to suffer through it for the next few, maybe, 3 or 4 workouts, and then it'll get easier. Okay. So everyone's going to experience that. I'm sure a lot of you experienced that when the first lockdown happened. You went back to the gym, everything was sore. It's normal. I promise you, if you're only out of the gym for 3 weeks, you're not going to lose muscle. It comes back very quickly, the glycogen factor. It's just your body's ability to produce it is not as efficient right now because you've been out of the gym. So just give it a few workouts and I promise you it'll come back, okay? And you won't be as sore. Guys, thanks so much for watching this Q&A. Like I said, I love getting the questions. I love people who support the channel and who are supporting our business during this time. It really, really is. I'm incredibly grateful. I honestly am. I really am. And I love answering these questions every time. Some of these questions are really funny. So I like I said, this is no filter Q&A. So if you send me a question, as long as it's not too out of line, I'll put it on the channel. Okay. So you send me any question and I'll answer it and I'll give you my opinion on what I think. I'm not always right, but I'm giving you my opinion and based on my experience in the industry, what I believe to be the facts when it comes to what you should take, what you shouldn't take, how you should train, how you shouldn't train. There's a lot of misinformation out there, especially online. So take it for what it is. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thanks everyone and have a great evening.